Inspiring entrepreneur overcomes discrimination 15 minutes later. Shocking truth exposed. Maria stood in her nearly bare bakery, a place infused with the sweet scent of hope, her fingers brushing against the cool, empty counters where pies and pastries would soon flourish. It was a small, quaint establishment nestled between Main Street and the old park, a dream staked in reality, a haven for all she loved. The rolling fields surrounding her small Midwestern town were a canvas she intended to paint with the vibrant colors of her Hispanic culture, the recipes that had danced from her grandmother's hands to hers, filling her childhood with warmth and undeniable love. But just as the sun set gloriously over the fields, a cloud of doubt loomed heavy in the air. "She should stick to what she knows," muttered a man near the entrance, his words sharp and dismissive, fueled by the stereotypes that often shadowed her efforts. Ignoring the sting, Maria reminded herself of her grandmother's voice. Perseverance is the cornerstone of the American dream. But how could she dream big when the townsfolk's gazes lingered on her, shrouded in skepticism? Yet in the heart of disappointment, her closest friends rallied around her, their laughter echoing through the bakery, lifting her spirits like a warm breeze. The local veterans, battle-hardened yet gentle souls, admired her grit and extended kindness, believing in her vision. They became her cheerleaders, bolstering her belief that her bakery could thrive, that the community could embrace the sweetness she envisioned. And it pushed her, made her stronger. Days turned into late nights filled with flour and sugar, every whisper of encouragement reminding her that she wasn't alone. Until chaos erupted. "Did you hear what they're saying about her?" came a whisper, dripping with malice. A rival bakery, one that had long held the town's loyalty, whispered venomous lies, rumors that her pastries contained questionable ingredients, that she was unworthy of their trust. Maria's heart sank like a stone. The very community she longed to embrace was now suspecting her intent. Every dismissive glance stung. Every harsh comment reverberated in her chest like a drum. The emotion crashed over her like a tidal wave, pulling her under. What had she done to deserve this? In desperation, she decided to confront those spreading the lies. Finding the rival bakery's owners felt like stepping onto a battlefield. Their faces were stormy when she entered, but Maria's spirit did not falter. "Why are you doing this?" she demanded, her voice trembling yet fierce. And to her shock, vulnerability flickered in their eyes. They, too, were fighting to keep their doors open, riddled with fear and struggling in a changing world in that raw moment. Maria was presented with a choice: fight back or extend a lifeline to someone who had lost their way. Her heart raced with the weight of what justice truly meant in a world tainted by prejudice and hardship. What would she choose? The clock was ticking towards her grand opening, and the fate of her bakery, of her dreams, hung in the balance. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she turned to leave the rival bakery, her heart heavy but resolute, Maria was left pondering the true meaning of community, dreams, and what it takes to rise above adversity. Would she be the beacon of hope her town desperately needed, or would she let bitterness steal her light? The sun set low, casting long shadows on the uncharted road ahead. A new day approached, but which path would she take? Maria stood at the entrance of her bakery, torn between anger and empathy. The owners of the rival bakery, people who once had her respect, had become her unexpected adversaries. As she walked out, she took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. She had a decision to make, and it could alter the course of her dreams, and maybe even theirs. The sun was dipping beneath the horizon, casting hues of orange and purple in the sky. It felt like a fight against time. Her opening day was approaching, and each passing moment only amplified her anxiety. She rummaged through her memories, recalling how her grandmother had always believed that showing love was the most potent weapon against hate. But how could she show love to those who had cast rumors like stones? Determined, Maria pulled out her phone. She needed to gather her friends, her support system, because if anyone understood the heartache and struggle, it was them. Just minutes later, they began arriving, faces brightening the dimly lit bakery with their presence. "Okay, Maria, what is the plan?" Elena asked, her curly hair bouncing as she engaged with excitement. "We're ready to make magic happen." Maria hesitated. "I want to reach out to the rival bakery. I want to help them." Elena's face fell, confusion knitting her brows together. "Help them? After what they did? Think about it," she urged, waving her hand to encompass the small gathering. "What if they are scared? What if they just need a nudge to see the good? Maybe we can collaborate instead." The group went silent, absorbing her words. While doubt flickered in their eyes, Maria's fervent passion ignited a spark of understanding. "If you believe that's the way to go, I'll back you up," a veteran named Roy said, leaning forward, his voice steady and reassuring. "Community is about lifting each other up even when it's hard." Embracing her friend's encouragement, Maria devised a plan to host a community bake-off that featured treats from both bakeries. The idea twinkled with possibility. Perhaps blending traditions could soften hearts. As the days flew by, excitement began to flutter throughout the town. Flyers were hung, and whispers of the event spread like wildfire. The bake-off would take place in the park, under the sweeping branches of the old oak tree, an inviting backdrop for fostering unity. But on the day before the event, nerves buzzed in Maria's stomach like a swarm of bees. She stood in her kitchen, carefully preparing her grandmother's famous tres leches cake. Each layer felt like a bridge, connecting her past to her present. As she drizzled the milk, her heart beating in rhythm with memories of baking beside her grandmother. Suddenly, at the door, there was a timid knock. Maria wiped her hands on her apron and opened it to find Jessica, one of the rival bakery's owners, standing there, her expression vulnerable. "I heard about the bake-off," she stammered, glancing around. "Can we talk?" The atmosphere shifted as Maria stared into Jessica's eyes, filled with uncertainty but also a flicker of hope. The prospect of a dialogue hung in the air, tantalizing yet weighty. Would this meeting be the turning point their community needed? Maria's heart raced as she stepped back, inviting Jessica inside. "I'd like that," she said softly, the words flowing like a gentle stream. As they sat down, an unspoken question lingered between them. How would this conversation reshape their paths, and would it forge a connection in the face of adversity? The room felt charged, vibrant with possibility. But would they be able to work together to overcome their differences? The silence in the room was punctuated only by the sound of their breathing. Maria folded her hands on the table, feeling her palms grow clammy. She caught Jessica's gaze, searching for a sign of common ground beneath the tension. "I know this has been hard for both of us," Jessica began, a tremor in her voice. "When we heard about your bakery, it felt like we were being pushed out. I was scared, you know. The thought of competition made us act in ways we're not proud of." Maria nodded, her heart softening. "I understand. Change is frightening. But maybe we can make this easier for each other." Jessica blinked, surprise lighting her features. "You really want to collaborate? After everything?" "Yes," Maria confirmed, her voice steady. "Imagine what we could create together, a bake-off that highlights our strengths instead of pushing us apart. This town deserves to see the best of what we both offer." For a moment, Jessica's eyes glistened. "I thought you'd want to fight. Most people would." "That's just it," Maria said, leaning forward. "Fighting won't heal our community. That's what my grandmother taught me. Love and kindness can turn adversaries into allies. Let us rise above this." Jessica inhaled deeply, the weight of her past resentments dropping slightly. "I want to believe that. But do you really think it'll work?" "I do," Maria replied, her conviction wrapping around them like a warm embrace. "Let us plan a few shared recipes and showcase both our styles as a unity of flavors." With a glimmer of hope, Jessica nodded slowly. "I think I'd like that. But it's going to take more than just baking to fix this." "Yes," Maria agreed, a smile creeping onto her face. "It's going to take honest communication, trust, and maybe even friendship." The word hung between them, a new possibility hanging in the air. They began brainstorming ideas, their voices rising with excitement. They combined their traditions, sharing stories of their family's recipes, laughing over the quirks and challenges each faced in business. As they worked together, Maria felt a warmth blossom in her chest, a sense of relief cutting through the clouds of doubt. Hours passed like minutes, and soon they were planning the details of the bake-off, imagining what it would look like. When they finally touched on the theme of togetherness, the struggle melted into shared laughter and an understanding she never thought possible. As they wrapped up, Jessica glanced out the window, a newfound spark in her eyes. You know, I think this could change everything. Not just for our bakeries, but maybe even the town itself. Maria beamed, feeling the tension ease further. Together, we can show them what kindness can accomplish. But amidst the excitement, a shadow flickered in Maria's mind. Could they truly overcome the doubts of their town? What if the past resurfaced and raised questions again? All these concerns lingered as Maria turned to Jessica, the weight of the future resting heavily on her shoulders. That night, as Maria climbed into bed, her heart danced between hope and uncertainty. She felt an undeniable pull toward what had been born in that little kitchen, a partnership that had the potential to unify their dreams. But the next morning would bring about the bake-off, and with it, the test of their fragile bond. What challenges awaited them? How would the townspeople react upon seeing their union? Maria closed her eyes, trying to silence the swirl of questions tightening like a noose around her thoughts. The sun peeked through her window, casting shadows on the walls, and Maria knew that the moment of truth was just around the corner. Would they emerge stronger or fall back into old patterns? The morning air was crisp, carrying the faint aroma of fresh bread and pastries. Maria stood behind her counter, her heart racing as she prepared for the day ahead. With each roll of dough, each stir of batter, she felt excitement flutter alongside her anxiety. Today was not just another day. It was the beginning of something new, something she desperately hoped would end the division in their small town. That a steady stream of light filled the bakery, reflecting off the flour-dusted surfaces, giving the place an almost ethereal glow. Maria smiled, catching glimpses of her goods sparkling tantalizingly in the display case. She had poured her heart into every treat, wanting to showcase both her and Jessica's strengths. As customers began to trickle in, Maria's thoughts drifted back to last night. How had they transformed from competitors to partners? It felt surreal. The thrill surged through her when she thought about the bake-off being the catalyst for change, not just for them, but for everyone. The door swung open, jingling softly, and in walked Jessica, flustered but grinning widely. Sorry, traffic was a nightmare. But I brought the cupcakes you asked for. She held out a tray, its colors as vibrant as her mood. What do you think? Jessica asked nervously, her eyes darting toward the customers. Will they like them? Maria took one look at the fluffy, pastel-frosted cupcakes decorated with delicate sprinkles and felt her heart swell. They'll love them. You have an amazing touch. Just as they set up the final touches, a group of familiar faces entered the shop, friends and patrons from previous months. They hesitated, exchanging glances that spoke volumes. Maria's stomach turned. Did they still see her as a rival? Or could they accept this new partnership? Hey everyone, we have a special event today, Maria announced, trying to sound confident. It's a bake-off between our two bakeries, but we've combined our talents this time to create something special for all of you. There was a murmur of confusion, a ripple of whispers as people processed the news. Maria could feel the collective doubt hanging in the air like fog. I know this might be hard to believe. We've both competed against each other. But today we want to show you what can happen when we come together. Jessica stepped to her side, her face brightening with determination. Together, we're offering a taste of harmony. Each treat symbolizes what we can accomplish as a community. As they began presenting their baked goods, Maria caught glimpses of skeptical faces turning a little softer. One older gentleman lifted a cupcake to his nose, inhaling deeply before taking a bite. A moment of silence fell, followed by an eruption of applause that made Maria's heart leap. But just as smiles began to spread, a voice shouted from the back, cutting through the celebration like a knife. You think we'll fall for this scheme? You both were at each other's throats last week. Silence gripped the bakery. The man was right, but how could she explain the change in their hearts? Would it matter? Maria's thoughts raced as she scanned the crowd, looking for support. Had they really made a mistake trying to bridge the gap? Or was this blowback just the beginning? Jessica squeezed Maria's hand tightly, the weight of expectation heavy on both of them. This is our chance, she whispered, determination glinting in her eyes. Maria's mind raced as she stepped forward, her heart pounding like a drum. Could she turn this moment around? Could they truly convince their town that healing was possible? The audience waited, breaths held in anticipation. Would they rise to the occasion, or had they just ignited a deeper disagreement? As Maria prepared to speak, she saw the eyes of her community before her, uncertain yet hopeful. This was a fork in the road, one that would either build their dreams or shatter them completely. Would they see past the past? Would love and kindness prevail? Maria took a deep breath, the air thick with anxiety. She felt the warmth of Jessica's hand and steadied herself. "I know this sounds unusual," she began, her voice rising above the murmurs. "Just a few days ago, it felt impossible that we could be standing here together. But we are." A ripple of murmurs raced through the crowd, faces contorted with doubt, but there were also hints of curiosity. Maria saw the older gentleman she had noticed earlier. He was nodding slowly, as if her words resonated. "Competition can be fierce," she continued, her confidence growing. "But we realize that underneath it all, we both share the same goal: creating delicious treats that bring joy to this community. We realize that by coming together, we can do even more." Jessica stepped up, her eyes shining. "Last week, we might have been rival bakers. But today, we are friends. Today, we want to share the best of both our worlds. Our past doesn't have to define our future." The emotions in the bakery were palpable now. Some customers leaned in closer, while others crossed their arms, still undecided. The older gentleman took another cautious bite of the cupcake, then broke into a smile. It was a simple gesture, but the shift in energy was electric. Maria glanced at Jessica, who was standing beside her, visibly moved by the moment. Would it be enough? Then she saw a familiar face from the back: Mrs. Harrington, their elderly neighbor, and Maria felt a spark of hope. Mrs. Harrington had always been a pillar of support. If anyone would understand their message, it was her. With newfound determination, Maria forged on. "Together, we can create a stronger community, one that supports each other, instead of dividing over petty rivalries. Let this be a new beginning." Suddenly, Mrs. Harrington's voice rang out. "You both have always worked hard, and I see that now. Let us not forget the joy that baking brings us." The crowd hesitated but began to echo her approval. More voices joined in, slowly building into a wave of applause. Maria's heart swelled. This was what she had envisioned: the community coming together. But just as the atmosphere began to shift, the man from earlier scoffed again, louder this time. "You think this is going to change everything? It's just fluff." Maria paused, her heart sinking for a moment. How could she counter such negativity? Before she could gather her thoughts, Jessica spoke up, the fierceness in her voice rising like dough in the oven. "It's not about fluffy promises. It's about action. If we really want change, we have to commit." As she spoke, Maria noticed the sparks of agreement igniting around the bakery. Discussions began to spark, fueled by excitement, but also some skepticism. Engagement from the crowd began blossoming, and Maria caught eyes with a couple of her regular patrons who gave her tentative smiles and nods of encouragement. Realizing that their voices only needed to be lifted higher, she added, "We're not just asking you to believe in us. We invite you to taste the change. Take part in this journey with us. Try our creations and share your thoughts." A spark of excitement ignited as people began to reach for the delicacies, and laughter bubbled up from the next table. One woman grabbed a cupcake and declared dramatically, "I dare you all to try Jessica's creations. They are legendary." An unexpected cheer emerged from the group, ringing through the small space. They found common ground, momentarily suspended in a rising tide of hope and camaraderie. As the laughter and conversation picked up, Maria looked over at Jessica, her eyes filled with gratitude. Maybe they could make it after all. But as the door swung open once more, a figure emerged, a man Maria recognized but hoped she would never see again. Mark had always been the voice of dissent, the instigator of town gossip. His presence could change everything. "Now what do you want?" Maria thought, dread pooling in the pit of her stomach. Had they just made a breakthrough? Or was this a challenge that could send their fragile unity tumbling back? Mark sauntered in like he owned the place, a smug look plastered on his face. The laughter and chatter in the bakery faded, replaced by a thick tension. Maria felt the warmth of the room dissipate, all eyes shifting toward him. She tightened her grip on Jessica's hand, whispering, stay close. As he approached, Mark's voice sliced through the silence. So, this is how low you've sunk. Teaming up with your rival? Doesn't that make you both losers? His laugh echoed, harsh and uninvited. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. But then, Mrs. Harrington interjected, her voice steady and loud. Mark, that's enough. You've been spreading negativity for too long. Let these two show us something different. A wave of murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd again. Maria's heart soared momentarily. Hope flickered in the air, but Mark was nothing if not relentless. Come on, are you all really going to buy this act? One cupcake, one tea changed the way these two have fought for years. He pointed dramatically, eyes scanning the crowd as if daring anyone to disagree. The festive atmosphere dimmed, and Maria sensed the room growing heavy with doubt. It was daunting to fight against his words, especially with their shared history fueling his rampage. It's not just about the cupcakes. Jessica spoke up, her voice firm yet drenched in emotion. It's about a fresh start, about letting go of past mistakes. We are asking for your understanding and your support. Isn't that worth something? Mark sneered. Understanding? From the likes of you? The air felt as if it had stopped, thick and oppressive. Maria's heart raced, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Sometimes, Maria said slowly, searching for the right words, change comes from the most unexpected places. Jessica and I have made mistakes, but we're here to show you that we can grow, together. A silence followed, punctuated only by the soft clink of spoons against plates. Several patrons exchanged hesitant glances, weighing the sincerity of her words against their preconceived notions. The longer Mark stood there, arms crossed defiantly, the more Maria could almost see the walls of doubt crumbling. You know what? Mark said, his voice dripping with mockery. Let us see if she's right. Why don't we put it to the test? A little bake-off. You think you can create something better than me? I'll wager this neighborhood's loyalty. Gasps filled the room. The stakes had just hit another level, and Maria felt the crowd's energy shift again. They weren't interested in Mark's arrogance, but the challenge hung tantalizingly before them. Victory seemed so close yet so far, and Maria's heart raced with a swirling mix of fear and determination. Jessica broke the tension, her smile unwavering. If that's what it takes to show everyone that we can rise together, let us do it. But it won't just be about winning or losing. It'll be a celebration of our bakery and community. No one will show up for an overrated show, Mark countered. The words dripped with contempt, but beneath the surface, Maria sensed that even he was questioning his own bravado. Maria stepped forward. Maybe they will, because we are finally choosing connection over conflict. And that's real change. The crowd began to nod, murmurs of excitement growing. With Jessica's hand still firmly in hers, Maria felt courage bloom. This was their moment to expose the truth of their partnership, one that transcended rivalry and embraced unity. But just as the crowd started to electrify with anticipation, someone else from the back called out, "What if you both lose? What does that mean for this new beginning?" A shudder rippled through Maria, her breath catching in her throat. What if they failed? She turned to Jessica, fear creeping in. The plan they deformed was fragile, like a souffle ready to fall. What if Mark was right? In that moment of doubt, Maria knew she had to confront not just the challenge in front of her, but the very real fear of failure that tugged at her heart. Would they be able to heal the wounds this bake-off could so easily reopen? The stakes were higher than ever, and Maria felt the weight of their community hanging in the balance. If they didn't win, would it erase the bond they'd begun to forge? With her heart pounding, she wondered if she could muster enough courage to face the uncertainty ahead. She took a deep breath, ready to speak not just to the crowd, but to herself. But before she could gather her thoughts, the door swung wide open again, and another shocking figure stepped in, one who could change everything once more. The bakery door creaked as it opened, and Maria's heart nearly stopped. There, standing framed in the glowing warm light of the bakery, was her estranged father, Robert. She hadn't seen him in years. He had opted out when the going got tough, when the family split and everything fractured. Now, he looked older, his hair was thin, and his eyes betrayed a tinge of regret. The room fell into a hushed whisper. Maria's grip on Jessica's hand tightened as she waited for the awkwardness to swallow them all whole. Robert had always been a complicated mixture of sharp-edged disappointment and unyielding pride. What was he doing here? Mark seized the opportunity, eyes glinting with amusement. Look who it is. The prodigal father, back to witness the circus. His voice dripped with sarcasm, but Maria barely heard him. All she could focus on was Robert. Maria, he began, his voice rough like gravel. I didn't think I could face you again. What do you want, Dad? She blurted out, the hurt spilling over like batter from an overflowing bowl. The crowd was silent, the tension palpable. I came to see how you were holding up, how the bakery was doing, he said, shifting his weight as if he was uncomfortable in his own skin. I heard things were complicated. Complicated? That was an understatement. She felt a mixture of anger and longing, the kind that knotted in her gut and made it hard to think straight. After years of silence, he chose this perfect storm? With a sigh, Jessica stepped forward, gently nudging Maria. It's okay, she said, convincing. This is about us. This moment isn't just for them. Maria's heart raced, her mind reeling through memories of childhood lessons learned in flower-covered chaos. What is it you want, Dad? She repeated, more calmly now, struggling to keep her voice from trembling. I want to support you, he replied, and there was something genuine in his eyes, a flicker of warmth. I've messed up in so many ways. I should have been there. Mark nearly laughed, shaking his head. Support? That's rich. What is he going to do? Show up to the bake-off with 2 stale cookies and hope for a miracle? The baker patrons started murmuring, eyes darting between father and daughter, tension knitting tighter. It was unbearable. Maria took a deep breath, forcing herself to focus. Maybe we can all come together, Jessica chimed in brightly, failing to bat away Mark's barbs. This is our chance to show that everyone can contribute, no matter the past. The idea sparked something in the crowd, small nods turning into larger gestures of support. Could they really embrace forgiveness here? Maria looked again at her father. You want to help? Then be here. Not as my father, but as part of this community. No promises and no excuses. Robert's eyes softened. I can do that. For the first time, Maria noticed the flicker of hope in his face. She turned to the crowd, feeling the swell of encouragement. Fine. If we're going to make this brawl interesting, let us not just bake with our hands, let us bake with our hearts. Mark's face darkened. This whole thing is a joke, he scoffed, but even he faltered under the audience's shifting allegiance. The atmosphere changed with vibrant energy, like a fresh batch of cookies cooling in sweet anticipation. They were on the brink of something profound. Together, they could turn their past mistakes into a new beginning. But then, just before Maria could relish the rare surge of unity, another voice called out, urgent and fierce. What if you both show up with bread, but the results flop? What does that say about all this trust you're trying to build? The question hung in the air, like an overbaked pie ready to crumble. Maria knew the stakes had shifted again. This wasn't just about baking. It was about her family, her hopes, her fear of failure, emerging just as piercing truths began to resurface. Could she genuinely believe in this new beginning, or was it all just a recipe for disaster? Maria's chest tightened with uncertainty as she faced the gathering crowd, ready for the tumultuous journey ahead. The bake-off was about to reveal more than just flavors. It would unearth hidden truths, ready or not. Would she be able to handle what lay beneath the surface? The crowd shifted, anticipation thick in the air. Maria narrowed her gaze, feeling both the weight of their stares and the uncertainty that seeped into her bones. Angela, a local bakery owner, wore a concerned expression as she leaned close, whispering to Maria, "You don't have to do this, you know. It's okay to step back." But step back felt like conceding, and concession felt like failure. The stakes were higher than she had imagined. She had opened this bakery as a tribute to her mother, who always believed in baking as a form of love. The thought of disappointing her echoed like a heavy bell inside her. I can't, Maria replied, passion igniting her voice. If I turn my back now, what have I really learned? This is about more than just flour and sugar. It's about healing. As she spoke, she caught Robert's gaze, his expression firm yet vulnerable. There was so much left unspoken, a lifetime of moments and regrets. You're right, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I've failed you and your mom, and I cannot expect forgiveness just for showing up. I need to earn it. A ripple of murmurs swept through the crowd. Some nodded, Others whispered in hushed tones. Maybe they were waiting to see if Robert would deliver on his promise or if he would let them down again. The nerves tightened in Maria's stomach. Do you really think it's that easy? Mark interjected again, unable to hold back. You think strolling in here is going to fix everything? Maybe it won't fix everything, Maria said, her voice steady, but it's a start. We can't be defined by our past mistakes. We need to give each other a shot at redemption. That's the whole point of community. Isn't it? Jessica's hand squeezed Maria's, grounding her even as doubt lurked in the corners of her mind. Robert's mouth opened slightly, likely shocked by their daughter's resolve. I can try, he stammered, the fight seeping out of his bravado, replaced by something softer. I'll be here, and I'll help. Help how exactly? Mark challenged, crossing his arms defiantly. With what expertise? Maybe with heart, Robert replied, an earnestness replacing previous defensiveness. I've spent years hiding from my mistakes, but I know how to sew love into a recipe. I can handle the details if I just open up and truly be here. The audience shifted again, weighing his words. Maria held her breath, unsure if they would believe in this possibility or see it as just words. But what if they really tried? What if they crafted something new together? Then, right on cue, Sarah, one of the older regulars at the bakery, stepped forward, her face a portrait of determination. If you're committed, then maybe we should all be committed. Let us put our energy into it, instead of tearing each other apart. I'm in. With those words, a swell of murmurs expanded, others agreeing, instincts building a bridge where once fear resided. Okay then, Maria announced, exhilaration pulsing through her. Let us rethink our approach. We'll fill our baskets with the best ingredients and our hearts with hope. Let us do this together. The room erupted in cautious cheers, her vision sparking energy among the bakers. With each cheer, Maria felt her heartbeat steady. It was terrifying, yet invigorating and exhilarating taste of belief. But just as excitement climbed, the moment was interrupted by a sudden crash. The bakery's back door swung open, and a newcomer stumbled in, breathless and wide-eyed. You all need to see this, he panted, eyes darting beyond Maria, away from the brewing chaos. Maria's heart dropped, senses tingling with foreboding. What now? Had they stirred a bigger pot than they could handle? The sudden call to attention reminded her of unfinished recipes and stories yet to be told. Would this new twist pull them apart or strengthen the bonds they were trying to forge? Her heart raced as she eagerly awaited the revelation, knowing instinctively that the next moments would redefine the very essence of what they were trying to accomplish. The newcomer stepped forward, a wild look in his eyes. You won't believe what just happened. Down at the town hall, it's all over social media. There's an online petition against the bakery. Gasps echoed through the space, slicing through the moment. Maria's heart sank again. What do you mean? Who started it? She felt the trust they had just begun to build slip through her fingers. It's a group against anything that isn't traditional, he explained, his voice trembling slightly. They say your mother's recipes aren't part of the community's heritage. They want to shut you down. Whispers erupted, each voice rising higher than the last. Mark's accusations hung thick in the air, his earlier doubts transforming into fuel for the fire. I knew it. It won't be that easy, Maria. They won't accept a newcomer just like that. Maria's mind raced. The petition? How could they betray the essence of what she was trying to create? It felt personal. As she scanned the room, she saw expressions shifting from excitement to disbelief. Angela's hands wrung tightly, unsure. Jessica clenched Maria's hand tighter, though her eyes betrayed fear. But amid the chaos, Sarah stepped forward again, her brow furrowed. We cannot let fear dictate what we do. We are a community, she exclaimed. Just because some don't understand doesn't mean we should back down. Maria swallowed hard, determination fighting against the sting of despair. We can't let them define us, she said, her voice ringing louder now. We are here to share love through baking. That's what my mom believed. That's how we heal. More murmurs. Some brows softened, others furrowed deeper. Robert stepped forward, pushing away the hesitation that had held him back. If we stand together, they cannot silence us. We've all made mistakes, but we can grow beyond them, just like this bakery does with every loaf baked right here. Love has to win out. A tremor of hope flickered through the crowd. Maria felt the pulse of connection in the room, the strength of shared purpose. "Let us show them who we are," she shouted, and with that a few friends began to applaud. That single act rippled, coaxing more to join in. The sound of clapping grew, shaking off the shadows that threatened to stifle them. The bakery echoed with a heartbeat of resolve. "Yes, we will not fold," Jessica exclaimed, but just as they rallied behind each other, a menacing crack pierced the atmosphere. The bakery's front door swung open, and in stomped someone wearing a dark hoodie, their face mostly obscured. The mood shifted. Fear coiled tightly around Maria's heart. "Let me speak," the newcomer declared, stepping into the illuminated room. "You might want to know who else is involved in this." Maria's breath hitched. Was this another challenge to her already shaken space? Would this revelation unravel everything they had fought for in that single moment? Her stomach twisted in anxious anticipation, knowing full well that every second mattered now. What truths were about to surface? Would this be a turning point, or just another shadow looming over her hopes? The figure stepped forward, revealing their face. It was Liam, a well-known local reporter. The tension thickened as Maria's heart raced. Liam had always taken an interest in community gossip, and his presence in the bakery ignited a spark of concern among the gathered townsfolk. "What do you know?" Maria asked, her voice a mixture of defiance and dread. "What are you here to say?" Liam exhaled, gathering his thoughts. "I've been following the petition against your bakery closely, and I think it's being fueled by misunderstandings. There are factions in the community that are scared of change. They see your bakery as a threat, not an opportunity." A murmur rippled through the crowd, the weight of Liam's words settling over them like a thick fog. Maria felt another wave of determination wash over her, bolstered by the support of her friends and the strangers who had begun to rally behind her. "So what do we do?" she asked, her voice resolute despite the uncertainty swirling in her gut. Liam scanned the bakery filled with hopeful faces, emotion beginning to spill into his voice. "We tell your story, Maria. We show the community what your mother's recipes, what your bakery, really mean. It's about more than just food, it's about heritage, connection, and love. We can create a campaign that showcases your journey and what it brings to all of us. This town isn't just defined by the past. It needs to see the possibilities of acceptance." Maria's heart beat faster. Could sharing her story really bend minds and shift hearts? She turned to Jessica, who was nodding, excitement lighting her features. "Yes, let us show everyone what we stand for," Jessica said, fueled by Maria's determination. "We can host a series of community events, like bake-offs and cultural showcases, where our traditions can blend and flourish. This isn't just about us anymore, it's about reclaiming what it means to be a community, one that stands united against prejudice." As Maria surveyed the crowd, she noticed glimmers of hope in the familiar faces. They were listening, absorbing the potential for change. Robert, standing beside her, added, "And I will help. I can connect more people with stories of our family's resilience. I can remind everyone of the heart of our culture, the very essence of togetherness." Maria sprang to life with each endorsement, each spark of support igniting her spirit. "Together, we can create something delicious and meaningful. Let us fill our bakery with love, laughter, and culture, something for everyone to enjoy. Our community deserves it." Her voice rallied the crowd, expressions shifting from doubt to belief. Slowly, they began to nod, sparks of recognition igniting in weary hearts. Hope reigned. With each passing minute, the energy in the bakery intensified. Maria could feel the tide turning. They were all standing on the brink of something powerful. But just as the encouragement began to solidify, Mark's voice sliced through the reverie. "Just because you might pull this together doesn't mean people will change. You think this collaboration will save you? Mark, enough," an older patron shouted, stepping forward to confront him. "We want to believe in change. We've seen the heart behind the bakery. It's time we extend our own." And with that, the tide really began to turn. The bakery rang with the sounds of support, echoes of encouragement fading into the backdrop of Mark's sour displeasure. "Let us prove him wrong," Maria said fiercely. The expression on Liam's face lit up. "This is the moment, Maria. Show the world what you're capable of. This could be a story that draws people in, not just a battle to win." Tears of pride glimmered in Maria's eyes. She felt the heartbeats of her friends next to her, the supportive community standing together against the naysayers, and she understood this was not just about her bakery anymore. It was about unifying a town under the sweet, enticing aroma of hope and acceptance. Time passed quickly, marking moments filled with burgeoning initiatives. Maria, Jessica, and Robert threw themselves into action, garnering support and hosting events that echoed through their small town. As the sun set on the final bake-off, the park shimmered with vibrant lights, laughter filling the air. The bake-off juxtaposed treats from both bakeries, their distinct flavors dancing together in a remarkable harmony. At that moment, Maria felt the surge of connection enveloping them. They stood shoulder to shoulder, a testament to resilience and love, as the community flocked around them. Underneath the grand oak tree, Maria looked up to see the townsfolk engaging amidst the mingling scents of pastries and baked goods warming every heart. They had made it through the storm, with tears of joy and relief brimming in her eyes. She squeezed Jessica's hand, feeling the beauty of collaboration that they had fought to achieve. This was more than just a victory for her bakery, it was an embrace of her heritage, a celebration of second chances, and a reminder that kindness always has the power to heal. The laughter and chatter of the townsfolk hummed like a gentle melody, painting a vivid tableau of community not just returning to tradition, but launching forward with appreciation for every contributing thread, past and present. Maria breathed deeply, wrapping herself in the warmth of the moment, finally understanding that the true sweet taste of victory was not in the competition, but in the graceful power of unity. This was the moment she had hoped for, and it was only just beginning. Now it's your turn to be part of this incredible story. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will lift you up. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the inspiration flowing. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this touching ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and feel the power of community. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Every action matters. Let's build this incredible journey together.